High in the canopy of the Amazon, a shadow moves with impossible silence. 2 meters of wings span slice through humid air, slate-grey feathers folding against a chest of cream and black. The harpy eagle drops onto a sloth, talons longer than a grizzly bear's claws closing in a single decisive grip. This is the most powerful raptor on Earth, and it is vanishing from the forest it has ruled for millennia. Scientists call her Harpy a harpiger, named after the wind spirits of Greek myth. She stands nearly a meter tall, with eyes the color of dark amber and a crown of grey feathers that rise when she is alert. Her grip can exceed 400 pounds of pressure per square inch. Yet for all her power, she depends on something fragile, the tallest trees of an undisturbed forest. A harpy nest is an architectural feat. Built from sticks and branches in the crown of a kapok or Brazil nut tree, it can measure more than 1.5 meters across. The same nest is used for generations, sometimes for decades. To find one is to find a landmark, a coordinate in the green vastness where life is being made. The harpy's range once stretched from southern Mexico to northern Argentina. Today, Brazil holds the largest remaining population, scattered across the Amazon basin and a few stubborn fragments of the Atlantic forest. In that coastal forest, where 90% of the original trees are gone, the harpy is functionally extinct. The story of its disappearance is the story of the forest itself. In the state of Pará, in a research station deep in the Carajás Reserve, biologist Everton Miranda has spent years climbing into the canopy. He straps himself to ropes 140 feet above the ground, photographing chicks, weighing prey remains, fitting tiny transmitters. What he finds is sobering. Each breeding pair requires thousands of hectares of intact forest to raise a single chick. A harpy pair produces 1 chick every 2 to 3 years. The fledgling stays with its parents for nearly 2 years, learning to hunt sloths and monkeys from the high branches. It is one of the slowest reproductive cycles among birds of prey. In a stable forest, this patience works. In a forest being cut down around them, it is a death sentence. The threats arrive on the wind, first as the smell of smoke. Between 2019 and 2022, deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon surged to levels not seen in a generation. Soy fields, cattle pasture, illegal gold mines, and roads pushed deeper into the forest. For the harpy, each fallen kapok is not just a tree, it is a potential nest site, gone for 200 years. Miranda's team has documented something quietly devastating. In areas where more than half the forest is cleared, harpy chicks begin to starve. The parents cannot find enough sloths and monkeys to feed them. The adults survive, ranging wider, but the next generation thins and disappears. The species does not crash in a single dramatic moment, it fades. There is also the gun. In remote settlements, the harpy is sometimes shot from curiosity, sometimes from fear, sometimes simply because it is large and visible. A bird this size, perched on an exposed branch, makes an easy target. Researchers have found nests abandoned after a single adult was killed by a hunter who did not know what the bird was. In the village of Tucuma in southern Pará, conservationists have tried a different approach. They bring schoolchildren to the base of an active nest tree, hand them binoculars, and let them watch a chick stretch its wings. A bird that was once shot on sight becomes a source of village pride. Tourism dollars follow, so slowly does protection. The Peregrine Fund and Brazilian partners have spent 2 decades on this work. They map nests, train local monitors, and pay families a small stipend to guard the trees on their land. By 2023, more than 70 active nests had been catalogued across the Brazilian Amazon. Each one is a victory measured in feathers and patience. But the map of nests is also a map of loss. In the Atlantic forest, surveys conducted between 2015 and 2020 found only a handful of confirmed breeding pairs, isolated in remote pockets of Espírito Santo and Bahia. These birds are genetic islands. Without movement between them, inbreeding becomes inevitable, and the population's future narrows to a thread. In 2021, researchers reported a finding that stunned the conservation world. In heavily deforested regions of the eastern Amazon, harpy chicks were dying not from gunshots, but from hunger. 3 out of 4 monitored nests in fragmented landscapes produced no surviving young. The forest was still standing in pieces, but the pieces were too small. What does a harpy need to survive? The answer is humbling. It needs a forest large enough that a pair can hunt across thousands of hectares without crossing a clear cut. It needs emergent trees old enough to hold a nest 100 feet up. It needs sloths, monkeys, coatis, and porcupines in abundance. It needs, in short, a world that we are still dismantling. The harpy is what ecologists call an umbrella species. Protect enough forest for one breeding pair, and you protect the howler monkeys, the jaguars, the brocket deer, the orchids and the bromeliads and the uncounted insects. Save the harpy and you save the architecture of the canopy itself. Lose her, and the silence above the trees tells you what else has gone. In indigenous traditions across the Amazon, the harpy holds a sacred place. The Kayapo wear her feathers in ceremonial headdresses. The Waywai speak of her as a messenger between worlds. For the Munduruku, she is a symbol of vigilance. These cultures recognized the eagle's importance long before science gave her a Latin name. They are now among her fiercest defenders. On a research platform in 2022, Miranda watches a female harpy return to her nest with the body of a two-toed sloth. The chick, 3 months old and already the size of a chicken, lifts its downy white head. The mother tears strips of meat and offers them. It is a scene that has played out in these trees for 100,000 years. It is also a scene becoming rare. Brazil's environmental policy has lurched in recent years between protection and plunder. The election of a new government in 2023 brought renewed enforcement, satellite monitoring, and a pledge to end illegal deforestation by 2030. Whether the harpy survives that deadline depends on choices made far from her nest, in Brasilia, in Brussels, in the supermarkets of distant cities. The chick in Carajás will fledge in another 6 months. If it survives, it will spend 2 years near its parents, then drift outward in search of its own territory. It will need a forest waiting for it. Somewhere, perhaps, a kapok tree is growing toward the sky, slow and patient, that will one day hold its nest. Or perhaps that tree has already fallen. The harpy eagle does not know she is endangered. She knows only the wind through her wings, the weight of prey in her talons, the cry of a chick waiting in the canopy. What she requires is simple and almost impossible. She requires that the forest remain a forest. The shadow still moves through the trees of Pará. Whether it will move there tomorrow is a question we are still answering.